I enjoyed reading the Pillar 2 section. It sounds like there are a lot of exciting things happening in PGCPS. Just some highlights. I like how in 29, I'm just going to go from 29 through Pillar 2. I really like how in 29, each area of certification based on the grade band was broken down and specific challenges were addressed per type of candidate. That was nice to see. For question 30, it looks like you've embedded a data chart into question 30, and that's fine, but it looks like you've embedded it as a picture. So you're going to want to avoid that. It's not going to be accessible to a screen reader. So I would just I would take it out and put the data in the actual text. But it does make it a little easier to read for that section. For the same question 30, comprehensive recruitment practices. Is there any data that can be shared for any of these? These seems like they were really, they could be very successful. Is there anything data that you can share to kind of back up what you're doing? And then any artifacts to support the Bridge USA or the Diversity Series initiatives, because those were really interesting. I'd like to know more about those. So either talking more about them or perhaps there's an artifact that can support them. For 31, I really liked how you explained the 2022 evaluation of your practices, but I'm wondering how PGCPS is going to evaluate whether the changes that are recommended are working. So what's coming in the next couple of years? What are your efforts there? 33 was very comprehensive, nice summary of partnerships. I did have a question. How is the district ensuring that staffing needs are integrated into the practices of the educator preparation programs? So what does that collaboration look like? How do those conversations look? How are you making sure that that's happening? I noted that there's, you talk about an ESOL CPD endorsement pathway. Is that, which is very interesting. I'm interested in learning more about that. Does that CPD series lead to taking the practice assessment? So it's unclear how it would actually lead to the endorsement. I think I know, but it's not clear in the answer. Let's see, make sure in question 34 that you also talk about supportive internship placements instead of just focusing on the diversity piece. Make sure you address that supportive piece. What does that supportive environment look like? And just like Shana had mentioned, I see some internal notes throughout. So you just want to make sure that you go in, there are several questions that have internal notes. So make sure that you're addressing those internal notes and stripping them out before you submit them. For question 36, it looks like there are 4 kind of boxes, text boxes in question 36, and it looks like all of the answers are embedded into that first text box. So you're going to want to separate them out and make sure that each text box has the appropriate answer. The last 3 are blank, and the first one I can see has all the information. So just adjust that. Some exciting programs in question 36 that I'm interested to see fleshed out. For 38, make sure you address the NBC facilitators. I don't want to make the assumption that your NBC mentors are NBC facilitators. Make sure you make that connection if that's the case. Professional learning opportunities for current NBCTs, question 44. Maybe add some examples of the opportunities that you referenced. You say that there are opportunities for leadership, but what do those opportunities look like? And really that's just across the board. If there's any place that you talk about opportunities or encouragement or initiatives, just make sure that those things are defined, that there's detail, that the reader understands what you're going for. And for 48, just note that the formatting is off in that text box. I don't know what's going on there, but it's definitely off. You're going to want to take a look at it. And finally, for 51, you've got some bullet points. What this is going for is a description. So really flesh out those bullet points and add a description. And I will turn it over to Rachel A.
Hi there. I think Kelly was very thorough, and we're typically pretty aligned. I only have a couple of additional items to mention, and first some kudos. There's so many great things going on that I can see where you had a hard time fitting them all in and being able to describe them, but it was really neat to read about the initiatives that you have underway. A couple of quick points in 29. A lot of the information that you provide is kind of the national context of the teacher shortage. And I'd encourage you to drill down a little bit more to some of the local. You mentioned that obviously you are situated near many other large districts who have similar pay to you. I would just kind of drill into what makes people pick you or not pick you. Like what is that challenge specific to your district? In 30, I just have to say, wow, there were so many great strategies listed in there for your recruitment, and specifically the intentional recruitment around Hispanic employees and or bilingual employees, and that was just really impressive to read about all of that. Kelly hit some of these, let's see. In 36, that's the one that Kelly spent some time on about the different, like, how do you recruit your high school students, your employees without degrees. Consider adding more data. How many students participate in TAM, just to help give context to the scope of the number of students involved or adults that you're trying to recruit who don't have a teaching degree or career changers. The more numbers you can add, the more your reader will be able to see the impact of bringing these people on board, how that would help. In 37, one quick tip to consider in the County Board Coordinator's role is to also add in recruitment. I assume that's one thing that they're working on doing, but just to go ahead and list that in there. I'm dying to know more about the NBCT Dream Team, and so maybe explain that one a little bit more. It sounds super cool. I love their charge. I just have no idea what they're going to be doing, and actually really do want to talk with you guys about that, about potentially featuring it at our session on Thursday. I did note some of these were under development, so basically wherever it's under development, it does look like you have a great process to internally have a checks and balance. I would just consider asking you to relook at each of the prompts and make sure that all the sub questions are addressed as you're reviewing those. And on 50, quick tip to list how many courses are already being offered in dual enrollment. Again, maybe just a number or some examples, or I don't know if it's a list that you could attach. I noticed that I think you guys said that you really could offer anything, which is cool, and that's partly because you're a big district. You've got a lot of opportunities and a lot of colleges to partner with, but maybe quantify it with the number of courses that are typically offered in a year or already offered. And the last thing I'll say, 56, I know you're still working on it, but as you flesh it out, think broadly and think inclusively. So this is asking you to identify your stakeholders involved in the work surrounding recruiting and retaining a high quality and diverse workforce. Think beyond your union, like definitely they're going to be there, but who else? Is the county government going to need a seat at the table? What about your teachers that are not NBCT eligible because NBCT doesn't have something for them? Like, think broadly. A lot of times some of the districts are kind of thinking about just the teachers or the teachers and the administrators, but think big. Who are all the people that have a stake in caring that our schools have a high quality and diverse workforce? And that's it from me. Great job. Keep up the great work.
Thank you. All right, now we will move into Pillar 3, and Pillar 3 is big